Well, the Footy Interchange Exchange, this is the People's Podcast where you get to ask your questions and have them answered and just fire up the discussion. As part of the podcast, Adam Papalia, Will Schofield with you. Scoey, Patreon questions. Patrons get first crack at it. Guarantee that we will answer and ask their question on the podcast. Fire away.
If you're not a patron, you can sign up backchatpodcast.com.au. It helps us make the pod as well as get your big questions in here. Got some giveaways. For instance, we'll be giving away tickets to the Bledisloe Cup here in Perth to our patrons this week.
How good.
So I guess if you're not a patron, you won't get one of those. It's sold out, by the way. Let's go with Bigger Germa over on Patreon. And he's put 3 through, and you get them all. In the Starcevic case, if West Coast try to use the preseason draft, why wouldn't Brisbane also get ruthless and trade him to someone else who offers more? I mean, this is the question we start getting into, perhaps with player versus teams. And I think we're going to have to see some sort of – it's not an equalisation method. It kind of is, but not in terms of, winning and losing, but in terms of player versus team. We're going to have to – I feel like we talked about this a little bit. We're going to have have a situation where I think there is going to be areas in which teams can just pull the trigger and do what they feel like rather than just the players doing that, because that's all we're at currently. Yep. Players do what they like. Clubs just cop it.
Yep, and have to get the best out of the situation that they possibly can. So what's the way around that? Because the players won't agree to doing that. What sort of compensation would they need to agree as a playing group to be able to be traded without their
money?
Will? And how much is that? What does that look like?
AFL plays them a traded bonus.
Relocation
bonus. Seriously.
And what would that look like? Can you pull a number out of the hat?
100 grand?
Yep.
Just keep going up until...
Because obviously in US sports, players get traded without wanting to all the time, but they're getting paid millions and millions of dollars, even if you're a lowly type player in a lot of those leagues.
So just buy a house on the other side of the country, whereas you can't do that here. Relocation allowance and put that number to a point where the players accept it. And if it's 300 grand and the club trades you without your will, or maybe it's 1 year's contract. Like, maybe you get a bonus year that you just get paid.
Yeah.
Your first year's doubled. I don't know, seriously. Because, where that would sit, I don't know. But, money would fix it. And so whether the AFL wants to fix it enough, that's the other question. It wouldn't happen 50 times a year either. There might
be a couple of players potentially.
Maybe 5 players maximum that are in that situation.
Generally, it'd happen when clubs get into salary cap issue where they're trying to dump money off their books, and then they can, whether they would have to absorb that themselves or whether the club that player's going to pays part of that.
Overall, I think it's a when, not if, though. Something will be done about this.
Yeah,
it's just when it happens. Second one from Bigger. It's going to shorten it. As a player, assuming it was his choice to go, would Scoey want the team he's leaving to be compensated, or new team keep every resource possible? So that's talking about whether the club has to pay it. Would I want the team I leave to be compensated?
If the player went through the preseason draft and just left?
I mean, the loyal aspect of me says yes. Business aspect of me says probably not.
I think players generally do want that to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, so you leave on better terms.
Yeah, but the better terms is versed here by the new club having to pay it. So then that means you can't pay other players at your new team. And you've moved there for success. So if that's going to alter that, well, you've got to change your allegiances to your new team. And I'd probably say, well, thanks for coming, probably. The money should stay with your new team. That's a bit ruthless. That's how it goes.
It's a ruthless game, right?
And the third one, would clubs worry that an established player could be insulted by being taken to the preseason draft, or do you not care what you're worth in trade draft value? I think when it comes to, signing with a new club, and if you've made that decision, you probably don't care how you get there. If there's a result's known, like let's use this Starcevic push to the preseason draft and we know West Coast are going to get him, I don't think you care at all. It's sort of like when you get drafted, does your draft pick matter? Nah, you're there and it's just done. It's the same with contracts, I think.
Yeah, and in the preseason draft, you can set your terms on your contract and length and all that sort of thing, which you've already agreed to. But I don't know, we just don't see it very often at all.
Yep.
Where a player would get to that position and wait, not get a deal done, and then go through the preseason draft. It just almost never happens.
No, but the reason is it feels like that everyone's trying to look after each other and a little bit friendly about it.
Yeah.
And I guess these sorts of questions are, well, is there someone that's going to be ultimately ruthless?
Yeah.
And the team that can do that is the team that finishes last.
Yeah.
Because they are guaranteed to have pick one in the preseason.
Yep.
Brendan on Patreon, this was a couple of weeks ago, but I thought we could talk about it today. Might be too late, but why did Jack Redden retire when he did? At the time, it seemed to me like one of the big steps back in the West Coast Eagles midfield that they took. He also says, I seem to recall a censored podcast as well. Haha. So we interviewed Reddo, I reckon the Monday. I reckon he retired, and then on the Friday, and we interviewed him on the Monday. And I think the censored podcast, we might have just clipped out one question where, potentially, I don't know if he was going to go to another club or whether he just wanted to make sure, leaving West Coast was a good thing. So I think, I honestly don't think it was groundbreaking what we took out. But you could be right on the censored part side of things. I think when it's that raw and you retire and you leave a football club, sometimes emotions can get in the way, good or bad, of just sort of saying what you think and also, reflecting on your actual thoughts. So we probably took something out that we just didn't want in the public. We don't do that very often.
Bit of a question out of the blue. What were the circumstances? I remember it being a shock that he ended up just pulling the pin out of nowhere almost.
I stand to be corrected, but I believe the contract on the table wasn't good enough and he decided to move on with his life. That's it. That's my recollection. Wanted more, wasn't going to be given more, and so said, well, I'm done then. I think that's what happened.
Fair
if
play.
I'm talking out of school there or if I'm wrong, don't take it as gospel, but that's my memory. I think that's what it was, which I've got no issue with. I wonder if fans do.
A few more questions coming through. This one from Jake in Morley says, should the trade period be open longer? You get injuries through the pre-season. There's lots of discussion. Should it go through till closer to the start of the season, past Christmas, January, or should there be another little window?
Yeah, maybe not trade period, but free agent acquisition period, I think. I think they need to cap trade period, players changing, and then that's it. But then they should leave the ability to add people to your list open until, I don't know, into the new year, definitely.
Well, there are those mechanisms to do that as a pre-season supplemental pick if you get an injury to someone on your main list, generally. Or you can leave a spot open and sign someone.
When? All the way to...
Well, pretty much up to the start of the season, yeah.
So you can just sign anyone?
Yep, free agents, yeah.
What?
So that's we've seen like Isaiah Dudley this year get signed the week before the season starts, or some other players. So if you've still got a list spot free, you can either sign someone late and they can train on for the summer and you get a chance to pick them up, or you wait and leave that list spot open until the mid-season draft if you want to, or if you get a long-term injury, so someone does their knee, etc., in the pre-season, you can move them to the inactive list and then that frees up a list spot.
Lucky you're here, mate, because I clearly have no idea. I just think specifically for West Coast this year, they need to add senior players to their list, whether it be rookie, I don't know, next gen academy, whatever these mechanisms are. I don't think it's a good idea if they add 10 people to their list this year, if 8 of them are 17, 18-year-olds. I think it's going to be a bigger skew towards older players that know what it takes to look after their body. They can set standards. You can go around the country to the state leagues, to the VFL, the Samful, and the Waffle for that. Quiz clubs specifically around who's your best preparer, and you got to link it to performance. You can't just have a guy that looks after his body and then can't play. But go and find the top 5 in each league, and find the best with preparation and training standards, and then it equates to performance, and add them to the list. I'm so surprised you don't see it more, and Sean Matter's a perfect example of why it works.
Go and get some of those mature ages in to help the depth on the list. RJK says, hi, Will. This one is looking at you in particular. It says, is Will looking at stepping away from some of his platforms, podcasts, anytime in the future? Does he think repeating similar conversations over multiple platforms increases his fatigue and disenchantment on subjects, creating an intransigent attitude with his co-hosts?
So I saw this one on socials. I went straight back and said, what would you suggest? I'm going to say RJ. And what does intransient mean? Because I didn't know what it meant. And it was a good reply, and this is why I want to speak about it. he's used that word on behalf of Skeeter because Skeeter always throws in words on the Shelter Footy cast that I have no idea what they mean. So he's had a good laugh. He said, it means I'm willing to change or compromise, especially in a debate. The question is more about if you will continue doing multiple podcasts. That is a lot of work, in brackets, brilliantly done, or will you step back eventually? Good reply. This is the good part of social media, I think. I initially took it, I was like, oh, hang on, mate. But then if you just have a conversation with someone and it's like, oh, this is what I meant. I think it's a really good question, and I know it relates to me specifically, but it could probably look at as the entire media landscape. I do think we are beginning, especially in footy, to get saturated with content. And look, we've started this year. I think we've tried to do it differently, and I do think it stands alone a little bit in going around the country and getting input from people on the ground. And I certainly don't think that our podcast here is littered too much with my opinion, certainly, and I've deliberately done that because what do I know about what's happening in Brisbane or Sydney?
Well, that's why we want to hear from our guests that are there.
So I think this podcast in particular can live forever because we've just got guests and we just listen to them and then we, do a bit of in and out and then we're done. Me particularly, will you come with me here for a second? So I do 2 podcasts on a Monday, which is BackChat Mondays and the Shelter Footy cast. One's in the morning, one's in the afternoon. I do a 6PR slot with Simon Beaumont on 6PR in mid-morning. So I've still got 3 things on a Monday, which, coming out of a weekend of footy and I work in footy, it sort of makes sense. The Monday's a heavy one. I do this on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, we release our guest episode, which has nothing really to do with me. I just listen to someone who's interesting. Thursdays, I do the Shelter Footy cast again. Wednesday night, I do Wild Water Sports on 6PR, which is a bit more of a midweek sort of thing for me. Tuesdays, I do this. That's pretty much all I'm doing. I do one live cross on a Wednesday with Fox Footy, and then I call the footy, which isn't opinion-based. It's just, calling the footy. I don't think I'm overreached, but, clearly I'm talking a lot of footy, but...
How is that different to someone who has a radio show 5 days a week?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. It's no different. Now, are my opinions crossed across the different shows? Probably a little bit, but I would think that's positive, and it means I'm not too wishy-washy with what I think. I mean, if you're asked a question and you're talking about something, you're going to think what you're going to think. So yeah, I am mindful, of it. Personally, I don't want to be across everything, and I think I've spoken about this across, a few other platforms that I probably don't see myself in, certainly in 10 years being in mainstream media still. And, will I be in more podcasts in the future? Maybe. I think sometimes media can be a really ego-based industry, and people really like being in front of the camera and their opinions, I guess, dictating the reason they're in the media. How I approach it, I'm really opinionated. I like giving my opinion, but I think you can speak to this if you. I'm bullish and I butt heads and I can be aggressive at times and it's a little bit of the shtick a little bit. I also think that if a good argument is put to me, I won't beat the dead horse unless I'm just being sarcastic. I don't. I think I am open to different opinions, but I think sometimes it works better, especially from a product point of view. If you and I sit here and we agree on everything, it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how you see my stuff, but I think what you might if you're watching this right now. I'm not actually ego based. The things that come out of my mouth, the next second, half the things I don't even remember, and I really move on very quickly. So that to me, it's not really about ego. If I sat here going, well, this is my opinion and I'm right, and I'm going to live by this for the rest of my life, that's ego based. I'm not like that. I move on very quickly from what I'm talking about in the media landscape, which is why I don't think that it's oversaturated at times because. I don't know. I don't sit on it too long. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think. Just part of the point that you spoke about there with us agreeing or disagreeing, we don't chat about that before we go on air. Your opinion's your opinion and mine's mine, and sometimes it aligns and sometimes, quite often, it doesn't, and we'll have that debate. And yeah, you're right. If I make a good point, then you might change your opinion on it, and vice versa, which is different, I guess, to the way some other people do it. In the end, it's about choice, right, for people. If they want to listen to you, they can listen to you. If they don't want to listen to you, they don't have to. So if you enjoy it across multiple different platforms, or if you only listen on one or the other, or if you want to listen to this person or that person, I think that's the good thing about it. Like, yeah, there is a lot of content out there now, but the best part about it is there's choice for people. So you can listen to the people that you want to listen to, and you can enjoy the content that you want to listen to. And if you don't want to, you don't have to flick on. Whereas, even 10 years ago, there was only a very small select group of people that had any voice in footy, and now it's extremely wide, from the mainstream channels and organisations out there to the podcasters, people that can write blogs, people that can are more footy fans that do fantasy podcasts. Like, there's such a wide selection now of content. I think is great, because it means that you can get different options and you can listen to what you want to listen to.
Oh, and there's no better example than the broadcast deal this year. There's been Seven and Fox Footy across almost every game this year, and some people love Seven and love the way they do it, and they love their commentators. Some people hate it, and vice versa. Some people love Fox Footy. Some people have no issue paying the money to access Fox Footy. Some people detest, and then there's a free-to-air option. Like, I agree with pretty much everything you've just said, which is disappointing, Paps.
We'll continue to agree, or disagree to disagree. Either way, last one that we'll go through is one that's close to my heart. Reese in Forest Beach says...
This is a wrestling question, is it?
No, it's not. We could get... Maybe we've still got to work on that podcast. Reese from Forest Beach says, when can we get rid of the Vic bias and move the grand final to different venues? It should be like the Super Bowl, and cities can bid for the right. It should not be locked in at the MCG, because it gives people too much of an advantage.
Not going to happen. I mean,
why not, though? It should.
The deal's been done.
Yeah,
that's why.
Deals
money.
can be changed.
Why not? Money. Oh, well, okay. If you want to change it, just come up with a Godfather deal that just blows the AFL out of the water, and then you can change it. But until that happens, they're just going to stay with the MCG. They've signed a 100-year deal, haven't they?
Yeah, 2052 or something like that.
Our good mate Mouse, who speaks to us across Bottle Elements, breaking news, reckons that, well, they are, I think. They're knocking down the Shane Warne stand.
Yep.
And they're going to rebuild that. I wonder how many seats that holds.
So they'll have to move the grand final for a couple of years.
Will they?
I reckon.
All right, awesome. There you go.
So
done.
Start the bidding process
Optus.
now and get it back. Optus, Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, put it at Leadville Oval. go real local.
Can't even hold an AFLW derby at Leadville Oval these days, let alone an AFL grand final.
That's a good point. Well, there you go. That's the only way it's going to happen, unfortunately. And I am a traditionalist in a few things with the grand final. I would leave it as day, and I would leave it the MCG.
Because of the venue, because that's the biggest capacity?
Because it's always been there. It's always been there, and don't worry, just don't do that. Just because it's always been there, it doesn't mean we have to always do it. That's going to be
my next sentence.
I know. I just think for this instance, I like the tradition of it. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. I like the daytime at the MCG to win the grand final, whether you're from West Coast, Fremantle, Adelaide or Melbourne, you're going to win it at the G. And interstate clubs know that. Fans have got routine around grand final. I like it. Ask me about daylight savings in Western Australia, and you can stuff tradition absolutely where the sun doesn't shine.
I do agree with you on that one.
So I'm not like that with everything. I just am with this one.
I wonder what the listeners think about that as well. I'm one that thinks it would be good to move it around at least once every few years.
Why?
So more people can experience it.
Go to the MCG.
Not everyone can afford to do that.
Yeah, but you can't make decisions because no one, and everyone can afford things. It's not how the world works.
More cities, more people get to experience the biggest day, and you turn it into a moving footy festival that goes to Perth or Adelaide.
No, we've got that. We've got the gather around in Adelaide.
The grand final's different. It was brilliant here in 2021. If you could do it on a bigger scale with a longer lead in, I think it would be fantastic, and I think it would be better for a national competition to have that.
Move gather round. I'll give you gather round. Move gather around.
I want the grand final.
What's that?
I want the grand final.
No, you can't have it. You don't have the
well, when you're AFL commissioner, just move it around for me, please.
Done. Deal.
That'd be good. I don't know. It's just I know it's never going to happen, but bugs me. I reckon
What,
that'd be
AFL
good.
commissioner or me moving it?
Both. Both. No, thanks, Scully. Appreciate your contribution as always on however many podcasts you're on. We'll chat to you again on the next one.
Thank you, mate. That's not bad from you.
Great to have everybody's contributions as well. This has been the Footy Interchange Exchange.